Greetings, programmers. Busted Thumbs back for our 5th episode on our Music Player Studio. And we are now at a point where we've gone over a lot of the basics for drawing and music playing. And we can kind of switch our way back over to just how we want this little application to work. So I've got up here the screen that we started in our very first episode here when we set up how we wanted our application to look right at the very beginning, and that was going to be having a list of a bunch of songs that we can select from. So now that we're starting to work with our songs, as I did in the last one with Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, I don't have to have these fake ones in here anymore. I'm going to start actually creating the sprites that will have to do with the songs. And the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to make one sprite for every song that I want to have available. And we could do more than that. We could work with clones and things like that. But I think this is a nice way to give us a little flexibility with how we work with the program. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new sprite to begin with. And we're doing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, so that's actually that hat wizard, kind of cool. But let's go ahead and grab this star as our basis for this. We're going to call this Twinkle Twinkle. We're going to go ahead and let him show. But let's work on this costume a little bit, because what I actually want him to be, and we are in vector mode, so that's good. I want this guy to be a button. So we're going to have a button, and let's make it a little bit smaller than this. So let's make it more like, up here you can see the size that it's going to be. I think 200 is good left to right. So let's bring that down just a little bit. We want to fit a few of these in. So let's make it a little smaller than that. Say maybe closer to around. Oh, it's not telling me because of the star. I don't need this guy here. Let's go ahead and shrink our star down a little bit. Now he's 33, so I think maybe 40 is okay. So that's 201 by 40, so let's make that just 999, 200 by 40. Okay, that's what we want. I want to put the center of it into one of the corners here, so let's try maybe right there. Okay. Then let's go ahead and take our star. I'm going to move, oops. It's being a little jumpy on me. I want that in the corner, like that. And I want to grab the star, not the box. Fortunately, it thinks the box is in the front. Yeah, so it thinks that the box is in the front. And I don't know that there's a way in Scratch to actually bring, oh there it is, forward a layer. There we go. That's what I wanted. I want that guy to go in there. Go ahead and make him a little bigger so he kind of takes up a little more space. And then I want some text, which we can make maybe blue or something like that. Oh, I can have a better font than that too. Twinkle, twinkle. Let's go ahead and just start with that to begin with. It's the spacing's too much on that, so I'm going to actually have to do this twice and make them about the same size. That's a little star. Okay. So that's a little too big. We just simply have it go down there a little bit. Go ahead and move him in. Oh, he's not. I'm having trouble with the selection on these guys. There we go. Twinkle, twinkle. Go ahead and shape him down a little bit so he's about the same size as the other guy. Move him over. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. There we go. And like I did before, because this got moved around a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and stick that right there in that corner there. Okay. So that, sorry, that took a little bit of time, but that's what we want. It's a little button, and we're going to have several of those. You can zoom them back out to about the size he's going to be. And we go back, and when the green flag is clicked, we actually just going to go ahead and put him in the spot we want him to be, but we also want him to just hide. Because I'll show you how we'll have him show up. So we'll hide him, and we'll go over. We probably want to be around just off the edge a little bit. Minus 220 and maybe 120, something like that. And then inside of our stage here, we've got a thing that says show the selection screen after we initialize the variables. So when we want him to show is actually when we get that event. When I receive, we're going to need one of those, yes, but what actually I want to do here is when I receive the show selection screen, that's when I'm going to show. Right there. Now, so the effect of this should be now that when we do the show selection screen, which happens after all the variables are done, the stage itself should be switching to the selection menu, which just simply brings in the select your song thing because that's in the background. And our Twinkle Twinkle Little Star sprite should pop up in kind of this corner over here. So let's just make sure that's what's happening. And yes, that's exactly what's happening. All right. So the idea behind all of this, why am I doing all of this? I want to put the data for the music for the songs inside the sprites themselves, and then I'm going to have a global variable which gets filled up with that song when I click on this particular button. Okay, so let me show you what that means. What it means is that I need to make a few lists here, and that's going to be the data for that is going to be originally 2 sets. One set is for the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and one set is for the songs all up, the current song that we want to play. Okay, and I'm going to allow for multiple instruments to play, and I'm going to allow for more than one kind of voice inside of each one of those instruments, and you'll see what I mean by that in a little bit. So first we're going to make a list, and I'm going to call this music for instrument 1. Okay, and I'm going to make the same thing 4 times. Music for instrument 2. And we don't need to show those. Music for instrument 3. And music for instrument 4. Okay. Now in Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, I had both the accompaniment and a melody going, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make each one of those a separate instrument. So inside of the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star now, I want to have a couple of lists as well. I'm going to make a list for this sprite only, which I'm going to call Twinkle Melody. And I'm going to make another list for this sprite only called Twinkle Accompaniment. I'll just do it accomp. And let's try to spell twinkle correctly. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. So Well, I was in between these two little the last episode and this one. I actually put together the music that should go together for Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and we're going to just go ahead when we initialize the variables and put that into these lists. So right now, let me show you what I came up with. I'll switch over here to let you see what I put into an application. This is Notepad++, which is a nice little text editor that I like. And the way we're going to do this is I decided that what I want to do for each one of the notes in my songs, I'm going to have it defined like this. It's going to be the measure that it starts in. So if you know music, and you're looking at staff of music, the measure is the thing between the vertical lines. You'll be measure 1, then measure 2, then measure 3. Then there's going to be a comma, and after that we're going to write the beat inside of the measure. So it'll start at beat 1, and say if it's what they call common time has 4 beats inside of each measure. Okay, so that's going to be that guy. And then there's going to be another comma, and then the next number is going to be the note, and that's the scratches number for the note, and then another comma followed by a duration, which is the number of beats that you want to have that note go, and then we're going to follow that all up by a semicolon. So what you see here in the melody that I've come up with, this is the Twinkle Twinkle Melody. It starts on measure 1 on beat 1. Note 60 is middle C, and that note lasts for one beat in duration. Okay, and the rest of what you see there is just all of that melody put together. Then down here I came up with the accompaniment. There's basically 2 notes for every one inside of the melody. There's 2 notes per beat is really what there is. That's why it's a bit longer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take all of this and put this into my my variables inside Scratch. All right. So I'm going to whoops, wrong button. I'm going to make a block. It says initialize melody. Okay. And I'm going to make another one for initialize accompaniment. Right there. And then when I receive initialized variables, I want to call both of those. And all we're simply going to do here is we're going to put these into our 2 lists. So I want to delete first everything in Twinkle Melody and everything in Twinkle Accompaniment, and then I'm just going to add these things. I'm going to do this. I could do this in one line if I wanted to, but because it just looks a little bit easier for me to copy and paste those over and figure out what's going wrong if there's something going wrong, I'm just going to put a bunch of these inside here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here, and here's the accompaniment. I'm going to just take a line at a time and add those in. So that's line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, and we're just going to keep on doing this until we get to all 12 lines. And now the nice thing about this is that by doing it this way, by doing it with these sprites, I can do it like this where I specify every single note. But what's going to happen when I've got this all done is that when we click the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, what we're going to do is we're going to copy all of this into a variable that is for the music player to read from. And if there was a pattern in our music, instead of just having to specify it out like all in numbers, we could have written scripts that actually generate that pattern and send that into the variable instead of having to figure it all out in a text editor like I've done here. Now that's what we've done here. We haven't really made this fancy logic or anything to fill out these numbers. But you can imagine certain songs, or maybe like drum beats or something like that, where there's a repeating pattern going over and over again. And you could easily put all of that into some code rather than having it just a bunch of text that you have. All right. So that's our accompaniment. We've initialized that out. We want to do the same thing inside of our melody. So let me go ahead and there's fewer of those lines, I think. What is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those lines. So let me go ahead and add 6 of these in here. And now, if you think about a programming language other than Scratch, how would they do this sort of thing? The way that they would do this sort of thing is that they would actually keep all this text in a text file itself or some sort of other file, and then they would just read that file from the file system with what we call input-output calls. Scratch doesn't allow you to do that because it's meant to be a pretty simple web program, and so that's why we're having to do this kind of work up front to put this inside. It also means we have to come back here anytime we need to make a change. We can't just do it inside of this file. We have to go to our program to do it. And we're almost done. There you go. All right, so what do we need to do is basically when Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is clicked, when this sprite is clicked, that's that event right there. We're going to want to add a copy over the music. Copy over the music, and I'll just do that really quick for you here, then we're pretty much out of time. It's pretty simple. What we're going to do is we're going to repeat well, first of all, we have to clear out the data that's in there. So I'm going to broadcast an event to do that because I don't think every sprite should have to do this. But I'll broadcast and wait something called clear current music, which I'll take care of later. But I just want to make sure we know that we need to do that. And then inside here, we're going to repeat for the length of first of all, the melody. And what we're going to do is we're going to insert into item 1 of music for instrument 1 the join of item 1 of music for instrument 1, and then we actually need here an index. So I'm going to make a variable for this sprite only. We're going to call it index. Okay. We're going to set index to 0. We're going to change index by 1. And the other thing that we're going to join is the item of index of Twinkle Melody. Okay, so what's that going to do? That's basically going to read one at a time each one of the items in Twinkle Melody and put it into. Actually, we don't want. Let me fix this real quick. Insert will just put it in over and over again. So we actually want to replace with this. Okay. So that's going to just copy all those things and make it, even though it's many lines in this list, it's going to make it into one line for the other list. And then we just need to do that again. Put that inside there. Now we're going to work with Twinkle Accompaniment. This should be Melody. And this should be Twinkle Accompaniment. Okay. So we need to do more. We need to hide and show the player, things like that. But I'm running out of time for this particular video. Let me just go ahead and show you what this is going to do. When we run this guy, we should be able to look at music for instrument 1. And when we click on him, he should show up with some data. All right, so I'll show that in the next one because we're at 20 minutes, and that's my complete break off for the things that we need to do inside here. So we're at a good spot. I should be able to get more of this music over and show this transition into the player. And we'll do that just as soon as we get to the next episode. Thank you for listening through this one. I know that went a little long. I'll try and keep the next one down a little bit. Still, this is going to be pretty fun, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.